Hello and welcome to the Rangers Rabble podcast. Friday night. It's a bit of a preview show for the St Mirren game tomorrow, and we look back obviously at the midweek win as well. Loads and loads to talk about. Obviously, big news breaking today, which will come out in a minute. But delighted to say I'm joined by a stellar cast. We've got Kerr, Richie, and Lewis. Kerr, how we doing?
Not bad, Robert. I'm fine.
Excellent. And Richie, I think this is the first time I've ever been on with you. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think we did a couple on the Patreon, but yeah, this is the first public one. So yeah, great to be on. Looking forward to it. Enjoy your shows when you're hosting. So yeah, pleased to be a part of it.
Don't smoke up my arse all night. I love that. And Lewis, how are you?
I'm not bad, mate. I feel a wee bit out of practice. It's the first pod I've done in about 5 weeks now, so I'm sure everybody's buzzing to see my face back on the screen.
What is it they say? Form is temporary, class is permanent. You'll be all right.
Exactly, mate.
All
exactly.
Right. There we go. Excellent. So listen, as I say, only one place to start. You know, it's been the worst kept secret in Scottish football all week. Mohamed Diamande's signed on the dotted line. It's a loan with a buy option, which looks to be a done deal really, because again, his length of contract, etc. Looks to be signed until 2028. 22 years of age, apparently very versatile, can play in quite a few positions, but obviously across that midfielder that's the 6, 8 or the 10. And if you believe the manager, we fought off a lot of interest to get this player. Richie, I'll come to you first on this one. What's your overriding feeling just initially as we bring the ball in?
Yeah, absolutely delighted. I'm not going to sort of claim to have known a great deal about him before we started getting the strong links, and then you do your usual research, and then you look into the sort of African youth setup that he was in, a conveyor belt for a number of players that have done really well across Europe, and he seems to he fits a profile to me that looks like, all things being equal, and if he does do as well as we think he might, then we're going to get a few years from him, and we might actually have a hefty sell-on value as well, which, without sounding overly defeatist, is unfortunately where we're at the moment to a certain extent. So it ticks all of the boxes. We'll obviously need to give him a chance to settle in and see exactly how the manager wants to play him. But it's an area where it seems to me from what I've been looking at, although he can play in the 10, he looks to be sort of more comfortable in the 6 or 8. But we'll see that, and it certainly gives more options in the midfield. And we don't know if you think we're all blowing smoke up Lundstrom at the moment, but we don't know what's going to happen with him in the summer. We're sparse in all areas, although I get that some people are saying it's not necessarily a key area for us. Sometimes these things come up, and you've just got to take them. And if rumours are to be believed that we've fought off some stiff opposition, which I've no reason to think otherwise, then it could be a real coup for us. So yeah, very much looking forward to seeing what he can do, and I'm just pleased to get another one over the line. But hopefully now we can look at some what we perceive to be sort of key areas within the squad with the time that we've got left.
Kev, Richie sort of maybe put it as a negative in terms of being in that position we have to bring players in to sell them on, but I think it's something we need to try and master and turn into a positive. We spoke about this numerous times, even just last week. I think you and I were talking about this on the podcast about how we've maybe hung on to players for too long and been too sentimental. There's nothing wrong with getting a player in right for a season, 2 seasons, maximising, making them better, and then moving them on.
There's nothing. That's what you have to do. It's a business at the end of the day, and that's what you have to do, and that's what we've struggled to do. That's probably how recruitment's not been that great, because we're buying players with probably not a lot of selling value, or we're keeping players too long, or we're knocking back offers like we've done in the past. So now's the time to bring. He's a good age. He's bringing the squad age down as well, which is good to see. And listen, I don't know a lot about the chap. I have to say, I do not, apart from what I've kind of watched, but you can't really judge that until you see him in the flesh. But no doubt, after 15 minutes, we either criticise him or praise him.
That's it. It's a short-term city as Glasgow. You know that. You don't get long. Lewis, I'll come to you, because obviously you are a man that studies the continent via the most popular game, Football Manager. But certainly when it comes to this guy, he's come through a football club that are known for nurturing talent, especially African players. You look at the guy at West Ham, is it Kudus, that came through Ajax? I think he scored against us in the Champions League. Looks a real talent. We fortunate enough to have pulled this transfer off.
By all accounts, it does seem like it is a bit of a coup for Rangers. Like you said, I think it's called the Right to Dream project that that this club have been doing for, I don't know how long, maybe 5 or 6 seasons or something now. And, you know, I think there's a striker that's currently there. He's talks at £20 million upwards of being sold on. So it's definitely, you know, a successful project in that terms. And you know me, Robert, I know we'll have a wee discussion about it later. I do like my stats, especially when it's a guy that we've not got a lot of video footage on, and he's a hard player to profile. You know, he's definitely not a goal getter, so don't expect him to come in and start scoring goals. He seems to me that we're finally starting to replace that Stephen Davis archetype, which is obviously quite fitting for today. You know, he looks very, very good in the ball. He looks like he's going to create a lot of chances and he's going to dictate play. He doesn't look like an overly successful defender either. So to me, that certainly profiles as that deep line playmaker. And it's been too long that Rangers have went without it. You know, when we were the dominant Old Firm side under Steven Gerrard, it's because we had Stephen Davis sitting there dictating the game. You look at Callum McGregor, he does that for Celtic, and that's where their success lies. So if that is the case, then I fully understand why we're going to shell this amount of money on the man, because I think that's very much needed in this squad.
Richie, you know, Lewis makes a good point there about, you know, we haven't seen much of him, and you do that thing, don't you? Jump onto YouTube, you find his name in, and you watch as many compilations as you can. Now, what I can say from what I saw is he looks very positive when he's got the ball, whether he's running with it or he's playing a forward pass. He looks to be trying to do something to move the game on. In terms of the manager speaking today, he kind of said that, or maybe played down how soon he was going to be in the team, and, you know, getting his work permit and then being behind, because I think they've had a longer winter break in Denmark than certainly we have. How do you see him fitting in this maybe sort of interrogatory period over this, you know, next 4 or 5 months towards the end of the season? Do you think he'll get a lot of minutes, or he'll be used sparingly in games? How do you see it panning out for him early doors?
Yeah, well, supposedly we've sent somebody over to Denmark to do some one-on-one work with him. So, yeah, that sounds very Clement-like and organised, which I like. I think he'll have every chance. We've heard from the manager previously that nobody's a shoe-in into the starting 11, and I like that approach. You don't want anybody to get overly complacent or start resting on their laurels, and we should have competition across the squad wherever possible. Injuries haven't made that possible, unfortunately, but, you know, all things being equal, we should have that competition for places. So I'm sure he'll have his opportunity once he's back up to speed and settled to start, you know, showing us what he's all about. And if he does, if he has the same kind of impact as somebody like Sterling's had to have more unexpectedly, then I'm sure he'll get a run of games. But at the same time, you know, we're looking at, if Clement continues to play the 4-2-3-1, then, and he's not particularly attacking, then he might just be looking at fighting for 2 places. And obviously got Raskan and Lonnie, who are doing quite well at the moment. So it's not going to be terribly easy for him, but I'm sure he'll have every chance. And hopefully we're fighting on all of these fronts. We're all hoping that we're going to have a lot of games between now and the end of the season. So it's going to be crucial, because we will inevitably pick up some more injuries. I'm sure we can't think otherwise.
Take it back.
I really hope that we don't, but what else can you think at the minute? Whatever's in the waters, something's going wrong. So we'll have a bit more depth for that. He'll have an opportunity to impose himself on the league. And I'm very excited to see it. I'm scared to get too excited, because there's countless clips on the internet now of me getting excited about Dessers and Lammers and whoever else. But what are you supposed to do? If you can't get excited when you sign somebody, you might as well pack in.
100%, mate. I'm with you on that. Kurt, just in terms of, you know, his attributes, the manager said he was versatile, good technical player with a lot of running capacity, still developing his strength, and he said we can make him stronger. That's the sort of stuff you want to hear from the manager? The fact that he's getting him in and he's already thinking about making him better.
Yeah, Rob, I mean, obviously, we're not going to sign players at their peak, are we? Let's be honest, we're going to sign guys at their peak unless they're starting to finish their career and getting down the hill. But no, that's what I have to do. He's coming for, obviously, Denmark. It's a different way to play over there. You come into play in Scotland, we all know it's a bit more physical in Scotland, not great technically. So he will develop on strength. I mean, unless he wants to build him up like Big Sterling, then that's a different kettle of fish. But listen, He'll come here, he'll enjoy it. He's looking forward to coming by the videos. I've seen his club put a video out as well, which is a class for him, wishing him all the best. And the boys coming, and you all need time. Doesn't matter who you are or where you're coming from, you do need time. So, and sometimes you don't get that, but we'll have to give them time to settle in. I know we've still got a few midfielders there, but I like the look of what Clement's trying to do. Obviously, Zapentez is still there. He's not been playing recently, but he's still there. We've got Racing coming back. We've got Diomande. We've got obviously Lundstrom playing really well. If he stays there, if he goes, that's the big question. Ryan Jack, I don't know if he'll probably be away, but we've also got Bailey Rice coming through, so hopefully that's my one. It's good to see the squad getting younger, like I said, because a younger squad, I'm not saying it's going to help injury issues, because we've had it a lot recently, but it might, because when the players are older, they seem to pick up more, and they seem to want to come back. And I see somebody saying, I like to look at Butland. I was going to say the other night, I was praising Jack Butland, so it's not my fault. I've got a bit of man love for Jack Butland. Just the same with you, Robert. You've got man love for some players. I'm not going to mention who they are.
He's not getting mentioned tonight, right? We can go a whole hour without mentioning him, because I feel like I'm getting jet lag or Lawrence lag. What do you want to call it? Right. Okay. I'm just gonna need a wee bit of the piece that was released by the club earlier on, and obviously the players quoted on there. So, speaking after signing for Rangers, Diomande commented, "I'm very excited to join such a historic club. I've heard a lot of good things about the team. I've had a lot of great conversation with the manager, who told me about his plans for the team and where I would fit in, which helped me convince me that Rangers was right for me. I really can't wait to get started, join up with my teammates, and run out Ibrox for the very first time in front of the Rangers supporters," which is probably what you'd expect him to say, right? He's not saying anything groundbreaking there. I think the point I wanted to bring up was from Nils Coppin, actually. He said, as a recruitment department, Lewis, we're very pleased to add Mohamed to our Rangers squad after a long and thorough process. After analysing data, video and live games over a long period of time, we're convinced that he will add something extra with his high level of athleticism, creative play, and strong defensive work. I look forward to seeing him play in a Rangers jersey and be part of the amazing Rangers family. What do you make of that? That's probably the first time we've heard from Coppin, really, on a signing. What did you take away from that?
Well, we kind of knew that Cotton was coming in with a bit of a pedigree behind him, and I think this is the exact type of signing that shows that. I think it's been a real lack at Rangers. Our focus on our scouting department since Steven Gerrard came in was very much British based, and it did work to a point, but that market is becoming very saturated and it's becoming very expensive. These are exactly the type of signings that Rangers you look at Celtic and the success they've had in the Asian market, for example, and I think it's time that Rangers start dipping into markets like the Scandinavian areas, because you get players like this, you unearth them, and you're talking £20 million. I don't know. I think somebody said that he would maybe play in the wing. I don't know about that. I think a lot of people were right saying that the Glenn Kamara link is quite a good one for what I can see. I definitely think he's going to come in here and he's going to be somebody that's going to progress the ball up the pitch with his dribbling ability, and he looks very, very comfortable when it comes to passing. So that's a good thing. And another thing, he's left-footed as well, which I didn't even realise. That probably adds like £1 million on his value. It's a hot commodity in football, being left-sided, so that's another thing. But it's exciting. It's nice to see Rangers going for somebody young for an untested market for a change, instead of a 28-year-old for Holland that's not been performing, and that wasn't shooting any shots, by the way.
Answers on a postcard. Well, listen, just to come back to you there on the left-sided stuff, I think the manager himself had said that he played left back and left wing at that time, so maybe that's just as a part of his versatility. As you say, I don't see him sort of playing there week in, week out. He's certainly going to be in that midfield three, whether it's the 6 or later 10 is yet to be seen. We'll stay with transfers for a minute, because the one that broke out the blue today is the Brazilian left back. Now, I hope I'm not going to butcher his name. I'm going to say Jefté, playing with Limassol, I believe. Is that right? In Cyprus. Everyone's just looking at me, screensaver face on. Come on, lads, help me out. We're on a podcast.
He's on loan now.
He's on loan there, right? Is it Fluminense he's coming from in Brazil? But I think that the thing that's came from this transfer is not the fact that the boy's coming in, it's who's going out. Is it Bournemouth? Is it Ridvan? Nobody's really bothered about who's coming in, it's who's going out. And after that display midweek, which we'll come on to, I think all of us are hoping it's not Ridvan Yilmaz care.
No, we don't. But like I said, that's up to the manager, isn't it? We just talk about advanced stage because we can see what he's starting to offer. Like I said the other night, he's got a run of games now and he's showing what he can offer because he's getting consistent in his performances. He's chipped in a goal all night. You can see how happy he was when he scored, but he gets forward. He likes to play the ball forward, which I like a lot. He doesn't do what Butland does and runs 6 yards forward and then goes back away, passes it back away. He likes to go forward, man. Yeah, he can get caught up field, but he's an attacking fullback, and most fullbacks nowadays are attacking anyway. So I like the way he does some stuff. But like I said, also he's sellable. And like Clement said himself, if he get offers in our players, we have to consider him. So you just hope he stays at this moment in time. But he's the type of player, Ridvan, but even if he doesn't go this window, I think his value's never going to go down because he's that type of player. So I think if we went in the summer, even after that next season after, we're going to get more back from him and pay from him because his value is always going to go up because he's young, he's a Turkish internationalist, and I think there's always going to be teams interested in him, especially Turkish clubs.
Richie, Ken makes some interesting points here, but obviously we haven't to sell Ridvan to fund other moves, and if it's not in this window, it'll be in the next. However, you saw the wee man after the game on Wednesday night. He looked as happy as I've seen him. Spoke really well, I must say. And then he put a post. I don't think if it was on X or Twitter, just saying he was happy to be here. So it would seem strange to me after all of that he walks out the door in the next 5 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that post. The sort of he seemed to be at pains to say how happy he was and that it was great to be here, and that it felt like a bit of a message to the gaffer, maybe, that one, if we want to read into these things. And it's one of those things. I want him to stay. I don't understand. To say if we sell him to facilitate another move, it just feels like such a stupid bit of business to do, because as Kerr said, he's not going to drop in value. Okay, he's had a couple of injuries. He struggled to get into the team. He was excluded from the European squad initially. That's not his fault. And then when he's had an opportunity to prove himself, I think he's done quite well. So I don't know, like, what were we ever hoping to achieve with him? With the caveat that obviously if he's terribly homesick and he's desperate to go and play in Turkey, then fair enough. There's nothing you can do about that. But it doesn't seem that way. So I just don't really understand. I get that he's one of our sellable assets, but it just feels like such a wasted opportunity, because if he carries on playing like he is and he gets a run of games in the team like we'd like to see him have, and he goes to the Euros with Turkey and does well, then we're going to be looking at three times our investment, I would say, as a minimum. And not only that, but then we've also possibly, if Borna then goes, we can use his wages for something else, and then we've got a well-established attacking left back for next season, even if we didn't want to punt him in the summer. So I just don't really get it. But obviously we don't have all of the information, and if either he wants to leave for some reason or he wants guaranteed minutes, and he's the only option for us to do some more business in what Clement perceives to be key areas, then sure, that's maybe that's what needs to happen. But I think it would be a terrible shame if it were to happen. And if it is a case of that he's not getting the minutes that he wanted, then that's also criminal for me, because he should now be given a chance to have a stretch in the team and see what's going to happen. I'm hoping that the rumours with Jefté or Hefty or whatever we're calling him, that'll come out in the next few days. I hope it might be more of a case of future planning for the inevitable Borna, see you later in the summer, no contract extension. That's what I'm hoping, and that would also be sensible to me. But if it's the former, then I think it's a shame, a real shame, and a calamitous bit of business, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well said. You made some great points there. I'll need to remember a couple as I go to lose there. But Brian, channel member for 13 months. Cheers, mate. Cheers for the support. Keep it up. Lewis, as I say, Richie makes some great points there. I know I don't want to get you on your high horse about Ridvan Yilmaz, but I can see you poising. You were shaking your head and grinding your teeth as we were talking there. But certainly, in terms of, he's not playing like a man that looks like he wants away. That's for sure. But for a guy so small, absolute heart of a lion, I must say. And Richie makes a good point about the Euros. It's something I've not really thought about, is that if he goes, if Because that, to me, looks like he's the first choice at the minute. He's in at left back. He's playing ahead of Borna. So it's his jersey to lose. If he plays for the rest of the season, he's surely going to get on that plane. And it would just be silly to let him go right now.
I mean, like you said, mate, it's got to be hard for me to hide my smugness here because I have been fighting the wee man's corner for a long time. On this podcast, I've had many a debate on why it would just be absolute madness. I mean, there was a lot of people on the podcast were more than happy to be like selling this boy for less than what we actually paid for him, and imagine how bad that would have been looking back in hindsight. Like, he's only actually started 18 games in his full Rangers career. He's barely had an opportunity. He scores that goal at Livingston, right? And he had like a 3 or 4 game stretch where he was playing well, and then he gets injured, and when he comes back, he doesn't get in the team. And I'm sorry, but Borna's finished. Borna's been a terrific servant to Rangers. He's had at least a 2-year stretch of being a really elite level fullback in Scotland and in Europe. And we only paid £2 million for him, so it's absolutely fine if we lose him. But to sit here and say we should cash in on Yilmaz after 7 games of good form and maybe make £8 million off him is craziness when, like you said, 6 months down the line, he could have 10 goal involvements for Rangers. We could get to a Europa League semi-final, win a league, win another cup. He makes the Turkish squad, and we're talking 15 to 20 million. I mean, we made £12 million in Nathan Patterson, and Nathan Patterson played even less football than Ridvan. So there's absolutely no question in keeping him about the squad. And like Richie says, I think it looks as if this Brazilian boy will be coming in as one for the future and just starting off as a squad player. I think he's just recently turned 20. I don't think he's looking in the plans for Fluminense. It's a bit of a strange loan out in Apoel. I think that's just to get him minutes. And he's only got like a market value of like £500,000. So to me, that screams that he's going to be somebody to come in and replace Borna Barisic, and we're going to put our eggs in Ridvan's basket, and he's going to be the left back going forward.
Well, fingers crossed. Keir, you know, the links with Barisic have cooled somewhat. I know last week there was maybe talk about one of your clubs, Roma, being interested, but then they've since obviously sacked their manager. So whether I don't know how they operate in terms of transfers, whether they can come in and maybe negotiate a deal to just take him now, give us a minimal fee, so that we don't lose Ridvan. But certainly, the wee man seems to be getting better game on game.
He does, because this is the first time he's had a decent run since he's been here. He's not been picked or he's been injured, so it's been very inconsistent for him, but he's had a decent run for him. He's the manager that believes in him. And you can see he's happy when he's playing. You can see his teammates that are starting to trust him. And that's what football's all about, confidence, and he's got that in his game now. And he does look happy, but he's a professional, so even if he did want to go back home or maybe wanted to go, a lot of players don't show that. They'll play until they might know. He might have been told, listen, you can go in the summer or something. I don't know. Everything's just kind of smoke mirrors. We don't really know what's happening behind the scenes. If he stays, we'll be happy, but if the club's sell him, then that's the club's decision at the end of the day. But as long as he's playing, he'll be consistent. As long as he's playing, he's consistent, then I think he'll offer us a good performances at left back, because he's what been missing recently. Because, like I said earlier, he does take a risk going forward. He gets involved in creating stuff. Defensively, he's not as bad as a lot of people make out yet. I mean, we're all going to he lacks height. There's a lot of full-backs, there's a lot of football players on the bag, but he makes up for it in other ways. And
is that just an easy target? Do you think? He's wee. Like, it's just easy to throw at him, isn't it?
Yeah, it's easy to throw. But you look at the certain positions and say he's not big enough, he's not fast enough, he's not strong enough. It's just an easy way out. It's a lot of way. That's one of the ways coaches can get other boys at youth level. No, you're not fast enough, son. You're not big enough, son. Or you need to grow. That's when a goalkeeper's like Andy Gordon isn't the biggest keeper, so you could probably criticise him for that, but he still made the save. So listen, Ridvan's doing well at the moment. Long may it continue. The manager seems to trust him there. So listen, I hope he stays. But like I said, it's a football club at the end of the day, and know yourself, Robert, you end up with names in the back of your tops. Well, not as much me, I'm too old for that. When I was younger, and then the boy would transfer the following season. That's the nature of this sport. But as long as he stays and we start winning things, I think he'll be happy, and I think we'll be happy.
what I was saying is I thought he took his goal really well on Wednesday and then followed that up with a nice wee story afterwards about him and Scott Wright. Scott Wright told him before the game, "You're going to score today, wee man," and then when he scored, he was sort of looking for him. So I kind of like that because I felt he looked a wee bit lost after Fashion Sakala left. So looks like Scott Wright's took him under his wing, which is quite good. Okay, we'll go on to Wednesday night. I know, Kerr, you were on the reaction, weren't you, on Wednesday night? So I just want to touch on a couple of things really because it was a strange game without actually Richie playing, magnificently. We were really, really comfortable. We controlled the game, scored 3 wonderful goals. And you kind of think, it's one of those ones where, one, we've come back for a winter break in the past and looked dreadful. And two, gone to Easter Road, people are going to think it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be close. And we never looked really troubled.
No, and I was really pleased. And then I looked at the reaction. I was quite surprised by some of the contributions. It was almost, to me, if I hadn't have seen the game or I didn't know the score, watching the start of the reaction, not you, Kerr, you were aligned with what I was thinking. It was almost like we'd scraped to a 1-0 win in the 80th minute and just played turgid football. And it was, we've got the win, but there's plenty I can see improvement. I didn't read it like that at all. I thought it was brilliant. We obviously, like, the baseline that we've got to work with from where we've come from the back end of Beale, it's never going to be fantastic free-flowing football. So we've got to bear that in mind. And taking all of that into account and the winter break, I thought it was about as good a performance as you could possibly expect. A definite potential banana skin. And what I really liked, obviously they had a couple of half chances before we scored, but after we'd scored, we didn't then go back into our shells. You could see that playing out under Beale and just almost like we're a sort of cup team minnow trying to survive 1-0 up away from home. And that's where we tend to get into bother. So I was really pleased with the way we pushed on, created lots of chances. Like, I get that there's not very many other teams that we're going to play that are going to be as open as Hibs. And it's a different proposition with your 2 banks of 4 or 2 banks of 5 in some cases. And that's going to present, it's going to be harder to unlock that in times. But yeah, I was really pleased with the attacking play. Lonnie was great again. That ball to Ridvan was, I can't believe it. Even just watching it now, I can't believe it. It's absolutely fantastic. And as you rightly say, he gets a lot of the attention, but it wasn't a tap in, was it? He still had a lot to do. So really pleased with that. And it's just, I get that people are just so desperate for us to kick on now. And there was the disappointment at Parkhead just before the winter break. But no, I think we're in a great position. Everything's on the table for us. Few more days left in the window to hopefully do some more business, and on to tomorrow. And yet, no, I'm feeling like, considering the way this season's been, and obviously we did the 2-part review, but I feel like we're in a really good place at the moment, and I'm quite excited for the rest of the season, which I didn't think I was necessarily going to be saying after the Aberdeen game and the final game of Beale's tenure.
Just I want one name from each of you, just on that question there, Fatal for a Hill. 3 cracking goals. Which was the best, Kerr, for you? Best goal on midweek?
Either Ridvan's or Campbell, but I'll go with Campbell.
Richie?
I'm going to get so much stick for this. I'm going to say Dessers, but I've got to tell you, the when it first happened, I had to look to see if there was anyone making a run on the left, because my first thought was that he was trying to play someone in on the left-hand side. That's like what little faith I have in him. But yeah, I've got to say that flair. You've got to say Dessers, but I enjoyed all of them, of course.
Lewis?
I would say Campbell.
Yeah, a nice mix there. I like that. You've all picked different goals. Brilliant. Okay, so Lewis, I'm going to come at you actually, because it's quite fitting. This it was a tale of 2 halves for 2 players. First half we saw Nico Raskin, and then the second obviously we saw Dujon Sterling. So two very different players actually, but both offer quite a lot in terms of getting forward and being involved and being creative. It looks like it's going to be room for one and not the other from the manager. Where do you see it panning out?
Well, Raskin for me is probably similar in my mind to Yilmaz and what I think of Raskin as a player. Um, I think Raskin is a very very good footballer, and at his age, I think he's so technically gifted, but he's not got the intelligence yet. You know, he makes a lot of immature decisions in games, and I think where and how we are going to play him, I, I don't know if he's going to get his chance as much as maybe he would have under Beale as he will under Clement, because Clement will focus on his mistakes and what his negatives are so much more than what Michael Beale would. But long term, you would like somebody like Raskin to be in as one of the main midfielders. Like I said, what his qualities are going forward and how positive he is in the ball, and he's always thinking about taking the ball forward and progressing it. And it's good to have somebody like that beside a Lundstrom. And then, Sterling's an absolute, like, he's just not what I expected. He's so good on the ball. Like, some of the passing he was doing in that second half against Hibs was so impressive. And this was a guy that, as far as I'd ever seen him before this, was a very defensively minded right back. And even when he played here, it just looked like he was not good enough going forward. And he just slots into midfield and he's chipping balls left, right, and centre. So I think our midfield is going to be one of the most competitive midfields we've had in a very, very long time. A very, very long time. You've got 5 or 6 players in there, and that's even without Ryan Jack, who could really stake a claim. And they all have different attributes, and they're all different types of midfielders, which is so nice. It's one of the areas of the pitch we're blessed in, and that's why I'll be honest, I was a bit bemused when we were spending this amount of money on Diomande, because I didn't think it was a problem area, but it's a nice problem to have. You want selection, you want variety, and I think Dujon Sterling is the absolute quintessential description of variety, and he won't have a problem. See if it goes forward and he's not meant to be a midfielder. He can play in like 4 other positions. He'll get game time.
Kurt, it's one I want to come to you on actually, 'cause again, you've had a lot to say about the midfield. When have you not got a lot to say actually about anything? But in terms of this arrival at Diomande, and then you look at Sterling, do you think maybe the midfield's going to evolve into something that's just a lot more leggy? We've seen, under Beale, we were quite static. Lewis has mentioned Lundstrom and Jack. Lundstrom in particular, not the quickest. But then you see these two young guys, they're actual athletes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if Jack and Lundstrom both left at the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised. Because you've got Sterling, who to me looks a better midfielder than he does fullback. I have to say that, and I wouldn't put him back at fullback because he looks so comfortable in the middle of the park. And he's got an engine box to box. He's physical, but he can pick a pass. So why would you move him out of that area? You've got the Diomande coming in. You've got Raskin, who I agree with Lewis. I think Raskin's great player. He does take a risk at times, and sometimes his passing lets him down, but it's because he's willing to take that risk. He doesn't sometimes go with a simple ball. He wants to go with a risky ball, and it doesn't always come off for him. So he maybe has to, like you say, football intelligence-wise, maybe think about it more, and you've got to still get Cervantes there, plus Bailey Rice. So that's 5 names without Jack and Lundstrom. So I mean, it brings the wage bill down if Lundstrom and Jack went. It brings the age down as well, but you get 4 players in there who could play in your first team every day of the week, plus Bailey Rice coming through. I mean, that's really good compared to where we've been the last few seasons. Abraham was very slow, wasn't it? I know there's some Stephen Davis who was a Rolls Royce player, but Abraham was slow. With Davis was there, Kamara, Lundstrom, Jack. Abraham was slow and just sideways, backways at times, but you get different posturing, more on the front foot, want to go forward, and that's what we want to see. Plus, you said, Robert, they're younger, they've got legs, they can last a game. I think we have to get back to being one of the fittest teams in the league, because last season we weren't. And I think with these guys in the team, we will be, because our younger guys are hungry as well. And it's good to see he's aiding for these signings. And Sterling was in the mix at the start of the season, but he is now through maybe injuries, through a bit of luck. But he's just shown he can be put there. You just don't want Sterling to be classed as a utility player, because that's not great for him. Because that means the manager doesn't know his best position. But to me, his best position is the middle of the park.
No, I would agree. I think he's put his best shifts in when we've seen him in there, certainly. Richie, you've touched on Dessa's goal, so I don't want to come on to that too much, but Fabio Silva, we got to see him from the start. Still, I'm maybe not convinced, or maybe he doesn't look convinced that he's a number 9 to lead the line. Would you see him keeping that position for the weekend, or would you see maybe Dessa's coming back in there and him going out wide?
Yeah, well, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see him on the left-hand side with Dessers through the middle. I think I saw a bit of him at Wolves, and obviously struggled to make a significant impact there. He signed for a really significant amount of money at a very young age, and he has struggled. But you can see his quality. You can his movement off the ball and his contributions really impressed me, and just the little touches in and around the box. It might take a little bit of time to get on the same wavelength, and it might just mean a shift either onto the left hand side or from number 10 might well suit him. But yeah, certainly, like, he's not. Nobody, I don't think, could claim that he's sort of typical goal scoring number 9. The evidence of his career so far certainly wouldn't suggest that, and what we've seen already. So I think it'd be interesting to see what he can contribute from one of those kind of 3 positions bit behind the forward. But I really liked some of his backtracking, and he reads the game so well that he can sort of nick in, and then he's just away then, and he seems to. There were a couple of examples of that in the first half. So I was considering that he's not necessarily had the game time over the last couple of seasons. I was impressed with him, and I was really pleased that we brought him in. Obviously, now that the development after his arrival with Seema's injury means that that might be a real opportunity for him there on the left hand side. The other thing as well, with that kind of 4-2-3-1, you sometimes see more of a false 9 where the 3 in behind are taking up more advanced positions. I don't know if we're necessarily structured to play that way at the moment, but that would certainly be the only way that I would see him through the middle. He doesn't really make the runs of a sort of classic centre forward. But that said, I think if he were to be sitting here now, he'd probably say the same thing. I'm not sure that's his position, as much as obviously he'll play anywhere across the line. So yeah, I'd like to see him on the left. Excited to see what he can contribute, but he won't solve our goal scoring problems, I don't think.
No, and I think you make a great point just on how it's fallen actually for him. The fact that Seema's come back injured looks going to be very long term. I don't know whether he stays with us or we return him to his parent club. I don't know how that's going to pan out. But however, if Silva can play on that left-hand side, then we could be quite fortuitous there, really, in getting a replacement and someone who's a real high quality. He must score, Lewis, mustn't he? That earliest chance at the near post, he's got to score that, hasn't he?
I bet that's the story of this boy's career. That's why he's probably been misprofiled from, like Richie said, a very young age. I remember him first coming through at Porto at like 17, and he's always been seen as a number 9. And you can just tell, even a false 9 is a bit of a push. He's got a few nice flicks and tricks, but he's not totally composed on the ball. He's not got great ball retention or ball control like a Cantwell, who the ball just sticks to his feet. He's merely like a Ryan Kent, who uses athleticism and power and a bit of step overs to beat a man. And I think he's a left winger. I think that's where he needs to play. I think he'll be the replacement for Seema for the rest of the season. And an opinion I don't get is that a lot of people are like, Cantwell was underperforming because him and Silva can't play like on the same pitch because they're very similar players. That's absolute nonsense, because we played a few games last year with Ryan Kent, Todd Cantwell and Malik Tillman together, and it worked at times. So if the players are good enough, they'll get in sync. Again, like Yanis Hadji and Ryan Kent had quite a good relationship during the 55 season. So if players are good enough, they'll link up, and for me, he needs to be on that left wing, especially with Seema.
So he plays Saturday for you. He plays on the left and Dessers plays up front?
Yes, Dessers up front.
You just wanted to shove Ryan Kent's name in there as much as possible, didn't you?
I have to, every time I get the chance.
Okay, I just wanted to bring this comment up because I thought it was quite interesting, actually. Gazabok just saying that the stuff him, Silva and Todd are trying to link up is very encouraging. Lewis touched on it there. You could see that, couldn't you? You could see that intelligence from the pair of them.
I said that in the pod Wednesday night. I said that. I know people were slagging Cantwell as usual, but I thought they seemed on the same wavelength. I thought they were trying. Something didn't come off, to be fair, it didn't. And I bet Cantwell got his feet muddled at times and overplayed, but you can see they're on the same wavelength because to be honest with you, Silva at times does seem 1 or 2 steps ahead of other players in the team. It's just the level of his intelligence. But you can see him and Campbell lighting up there, and good players always play well together. There's no point no playing the two of them when you've got them there. That's just stupidity, and I think anyway. But listen, I say it's up to the manager, but I think you play Silva at the left. I think Seamer's numbers are phenomenal since he's been there, and he's going to be a big miss for us. We need somebody to try and produce. I'm not saying I'm going to get the same as Seamer got, but to produce something, I don't see that from Matondo. I just do not, and so I think you have to play Silva there. Listen, Dessers is the only 9 we've got at the moment, so you had to play through the middle. And obviously at right goes my cousin too. Ross is actually doing really well, and I think he's getting better in each game. He's maturing, he's taking his time to think at stuff now, just hitting the hope time. So Ross is coming to a better game, and I don't see a way. I know people say maybe rest him, but he's young. He'll get through this period. He's getting enough rest when I'm not playing football. So I think that's the three, and can't mill behind. Listen, Lawrence has got a chance as well, but Tom has to be 100%, and Neil's close to 100%. But don't want him to break down again because he's got a habit of that. So I would start him. I would keep him coming off the bench just now because he can make a difference coming off the bench. But Campbell is the 10 and the Silver at left and Dessers through middle and McCausland at right. I think you have to go with that at the moment unless we bring anybody else in between now and the end of the window.
Well, Wilf made a great point saying that we need a striker, and obviously by next week. I don't want to talk about striking replacements tonight. Okay, we've talked about enough for the last 4 or 5 points that I've got on, so we'll just get a wee break for the night.
Anybody in mind, Robert?
No, I've got no names in mind. Listen, I wanted to actually celebrate something because I feel like we can always come on the podcast and somebody will bemoan the defence, or we're scratching our heads about the defence, or there's always something going on with defenders. But if you look at it, it's another clean sheet on Wednesday night. We're still considered the lowest goals in the league. I think it's one area of the pitch we're actually looking really, really solid, Richie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think everyone that you speak to, if you're asking for a predicted lineup or any kind of issues in the team, it's just the defense sorts itself, and there's no problems at all. And look where this time last year it was a very different conversation, wasn't it? So yeah, it's always the way though, isn't it? You sort of focus on your problem areas, but we've been the stats are superb defensively. There's been times in games where we've all kind of bemoaned inability to deal with balls into the box and this kind of thing, but I think we're always going to get an element of that. But the beauty is that we've got a rotational option at centre half. We've got a couple of left backs for now, and obviously we've got Tav at right back, but Sterling, who was possibly an understudy at one stage, whether he's changed position or not. But then there's also I'm not sure I could call, and I'm just thinking this through as I'm talking. I was going to say there's Divine as well, but in all honesty, I'm not sure that Divine's quite there at the moment. But no, the point is that there's loads of cover, and we're not conceding very many goals at all, and it's a really solid basis upon which to attack. And it seems to have been a focus of the manager to get that solid foundation and to build on that. And I really like to see that, and it's that kind of attitude and mentality that could see us going quite far in Europe. Dare I say? Dare I dream?
Oh, dream, mate, dream. That's what we're here for. Absolutely dream. Listen, I'll come to Jack Butland in a moment, Keir, so you hang fire there. But Lewis, Aaron's asking, does Suter stay in? I can't even say that. Does Suter stay in for St Mirren? Too many S's there for a man with straight teeth. So does Suter stay in for St Mirren?
That's a hard question, because I was actually going to jump in and ask you a question, because see, Leon Balogun, do you think he gets a contract extension? Because the way this season's panning out and how much he's been utilised, I think that's becoming a real possibility. And to be honest with you,
it would depend on what options you've got, like to bring players in. See, if you can make it better, then maybe you don't give him, or if you can move a Davies out, or indeed Suter, because I'm not entirely convinced there. But that's if you're asking me. But I think Balogun's been great, Lewis. Absolutely, yeah.
Well, that's the dilemma right there. I think potentially you would like Suter and Goldson to be your centre back partnership going forward, but sort of just he hasn't managed to really cement that status in either the manager or the fan base's heads, and I think he probably is the second best defender in terms of talent we've got behind Goldson. But Balogun just might be a better suit. Rio and Vidic is your prime example. They work so well because they were two absolute opposite defenders, and I think Goldson and Balogun is like that. I think Suter and Davies are maybe a wee bit too similar to Goldson because they like a lot of time on the ball. So probably no. I would probably stick with Balogun and bring Goldson back in.
Yeah, listen, for everyone was saying why have he brought Leon Balogun back to the club, and then you look at him now, he just looks absolutely Rolls Royce at times. Keir, someone had popped in there, I think it was Gallant, saying Jack Butland is the man responsible for the least goals conceded. Is that harsh though? Is that a little bit harsh on the four guys in front of him? I know he's been brilliant. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's the best keeper in the league, hands down. And maybe we're very, very fortunate to have him. But is it slightly disrespectful to the guys in front of him?
No.
Oh no!
Simple. You've seen a lot. You've seen the percentage in saves has been up nearly 30% for last season. So, and that's the reason. Jack Butland, you can see. Listen, the other night they were saying in the pod he's had to pull off a cut of saves. So maybe that's how we brought him up played well. But it doesn't matter who you're playing against. Our team's always going to get a chance or two, and it's up to your keeper to make a save. And that Rangers, you only maybe make 2 or 3 saves a match because you could have a majority of the ball. But when you've got to make, when you get these saves, you have to make them. And they Gorham done it. McGregor done it for years. Stephen Kloss done it. So Jack Butland just stepped into this defence and he started doing exactly the same. And he does it. And you can see how much he saved that save that night when the boy should have scored. The boy cut it back and should have scored. But after it, he was absolutely loving saving that Butland. You can see him getting the fist going and really happy with the save. And that's what you want to see a keeper doing. McGregor done that. Do you know what I mean? So Gorham done it as well. And that's what you want for a keeper because you like to be in action, you like to make the saves, but when you've got a guy who can pull off 1 or 2 saves when you need it to happen, he's a better chance to win a game, especially a club like us, because like I see we've got the majority of the ball. So, but he's a big difference for us, Rob. I mean, he's the best goalkeeper in the league by a country mile, and we're very lucky to have him. I think the other night we were talking about is he maybe going to leave, but I don't think so at this moment in time because I think he's still proving a lot of people in England wrong because a lot of people doubted him. Hadn't he played for a long time, he was third choice at United, wasn't getting a game at Palace, struggled at Stoke, but he came through very early at Birmingham, played with England, and I think a lot of people thought Jack Butland he maybe finished his 30. He's come up here to prove a lot of people wrong, and he's doing that at this moment in time. He's playing in front of 50,000, he's won a trophy, he's playing in Europe. Listen, he could have stayed at Man United and been very comfortably, earned a lot of money, but not played football, and that's who he supported as a kid as well. But he said, no, I want to go and play football. He's come out with Glasgow Rangers, he's playing every week, he's playing in front of 50,000, don't get me wrong, he's playing Dumbarton as well, which wasn't great, but he's playing in front of 50,000, he's won a medal, and he's fighting for us stuff, and he's playing in Europe, and I'm not saying he's poorly paid because he isn't, but he's loving that because that's what he wants to do, that's what he's always wanted to do ever since he was a kid, so I'm happy he's here, and I think he'll be here for another good wee while before, we'll get offers, but I don't think he'll take it first time, I think he's happy where he is.
See, I've got a question, right? Like, I said, genuinely, I want your honest answers. If you look at the selection that England have in the goalkeeping position right now, even as the third choice, do you think there's any way that he makes it? Because see, personally, I think he's the second best goalkeeper that England have at their disposal. I think he's the exact same type of goalkeeper as Nick Pope, but I think he's better than Nick Pope. And the only thing that lets him down, he's maybe not as good on the ball as an Aaron Ramsdale or a Jordan Pickford.
I think that the trouble isn't his ability. I don't think there's any doubt in that.
The
fact he's playing in Scotland, it's a snobbery. It's a downright snobbery, and that's it.
We would need to win like the Europa League or something for that to happen.
But just to come back to Keir's point, which I think is pertinent, it's the fact that it looks like he's enjoying himself, like he's taking on the club really well. He's one player that doesn't split the support. Everybody loves him. You don't hear a bad word said about him. So I think that's testament to him as well. So long may that continue. I'm with you, Keir. I don't want to lose him. We've been very fortunate at Rangers with goalkeepers over the years. I know we've had a couple of shockers, but by the whole, we've usually got a good goalkeeper. So I'd hate to lose him because he'd be a hard act to follow. Okay, well listen, we'll leave Hibs there and have a quick we look at tomorrow afternoon. Obviously we travel to Paisley. It's an early kickoff. It's a chance actually to put a little bit of pressure on Celtic, Richie, albeit before they play Ross County at home, which is probably a gimme these days, to be honest. But we've maybe talked a little bit about selection. We've talked about bringing Goldson back in as well. So Mirren not really on the best of form, actually. They've took a little bit of a dip. You would say Kilmarnock are probably pushing towards sealing that fourth place, at the moment on form. But they did get a good win up at Pittodrie. Do you see it as having any trouble tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, it feels uncomfortable to say, but no, I don't on current form at all. And yeah, this will probably be clipped up at some point in the next 24 hours. But no, I really don't. Yeah, as you rightly say, they had a great start to the season, and they've proved a lot of people wrong. But yeah, they've tailed off in the last month or so, and I can only really possibly see them dropping down another couple of places in the coming weeks as well. Looking at the fixtures, it's a combination of that, and also I think we're in such a good place to take on these games at the moment. I don't have that sense of like, oh, it's not at Ibrox. It could get, if we don't impose ourselves after half an hour, it could start getting edgy. I just don't have that same feeling. I think we've got a really good mentality. We've come back from the winter break, and it seems like in a really good place, and I can't see anything other than a fairly comfortable win. And yet, like you say, it puts us potentially, I know it's only for an hour or two, but it puts us in that place that we'll be if we win our game in hand, albeit temporarily. And then, hopefully, as things go on, we might have an opportunity where if we're playing, I'm not sure how the fixtures play out in terms of timings. I think our game in hand, St Johnstone, but in terms of the timings, I don't know whether there'll be a point where we could then get to a point in, well, if we win our game in hand, 2 points behind, if we then play first again in a future week, we might be a point in front, subject to, to their game. So it just puts a different emphasis on things, and it's a proper title challenge. So, and when you think, despite all of the issues that we've had, your Rugby Park, Aberdeen at home, the calamity with PSV, Beale, summer signings, all of that taken into account, we're in a title race. Everything's on the table. We've already won a trophy. And yeah, I'm feeling really good about our prospects here. And I don't think it's a case of signing a particular striker and we win the league. And if we don't, then we don't, which I do hear quite a lot as the key strap line. But I know we're not talking about him tonight. We do need to sign a striker.
I'll stop phoning in the middle of the night, all right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's I'm feeling good about it. I think it will be a fairly routine game, and then all eyes can go across to them, and we'll see how they've come back from the winter break. I'm fingers crossed it'll be okay. If not, I'm going to look like a total fool. But yeah, that's all right. It won't be the first time.
Lewis, Richie makes a good point in saying that, it's probably first time in a while that he's going to an away game feeling, that we can do this. It's, we're not ball, it's not Ibrox. I think that comes down to the manager, because I saw even at 3-0 the other night, there was times when he wasn't happy, shouting at his players, he's making sure they're carrying out instructions. How important has he been in just this massive turnaround? He is the key figure at the minute, isn't he?
Well, first of all, that opinion is definitely subjective, because I still get the jitters every time we have an away fixture, and I don't know if that's because of my age and what I've came to expect at Rangers, but I'm certainly a bit nervy, but definitely not as nervy. I think, like you said, we were winning 3-0 and the big man screaming his head off at anything that goes wrong, and I think that's testament to how good of a manager he already is, and how much a better manager he still wants to become. You can hear it in all his interviews. He doesn't feel that he's the finished article, and I think that's massively important. And in terms of management wise, he's not the oldest either, so there's definitely still improvement there, and we've already got a good one. But it's just, I think that the opportunity, it's the first time we've really had it since Aberdeen, and we failed then. So hopefully we can just put that to bed, and we put, even if it's an hour, it's still pressure on Celtic, and getting away up to Ross County is never an easy fixture. I think they've definitely got the harder of the two fixtures. So you never know, man. We might end up 2 points behind already.
Kerr, just on something that Lewis says there about, and Richie said there about the pressure, and getting it to a point where they play, we play, and the pressure's changing. That might be on us, but a little bit more with this, the Europa coming back in, and we'll obviously then be forced to play on the Sunday, won't we? However, it is a good chance just to see how they cope with it, because they'll not be used to it.
Some will, some won't. It just depends. Listen, all football players want to win stuff, and the more games you play, the more chance you've got winning things. So the manager will tell them that. But like you said, he's always said the same for the start. He'll take each game at a time, and I think tomorrow will be tougher than Wednesday night. I have to say, I think someone on a better side than Hibs. I think they'll come out and try and play a bit of football. They play a 3-4-3 something. I think they'll come out and try and play. So I think that's good for us if they do, instead of just sitting in, because that leaves gaps for us to plenty. But I do think we'll win, but I don't think it'll be as comfortable as Wednesday. But I do think we'll win. But listen, every game's going to be difficult because you're playing with Rangers, and like Olympic teams do up a game against us because they're playing against better players. So when you know yourself, when you used to play football when you're younger, when you're playing against somebody you knew, somebody you hated, or just somebody you thought you're the top of the league, you go out and try your best. So every team does it. So it's up to our players to come up tomorrow at St Park, or whatever you call it. Now, I'm 2 minutes away from it, I still don't know what it's called. And you turn up and you play your best and you get the 3 points. End of the day, that's all we need to do. It's a pressure's every game for Rangers, as Walter Smith says. Even if you get a draw, Rangers, you're under pressure, so you have to just go out and do our job and get 3 points and back a road. I'm not even going to think about the other side across the city because I don't really care who they're playing. It's up to us to get the job done for ourselves, not anybody else. And if we can win every game between now and the end of the season, we know what happens. But just let's take it one game at a time. Tomorrow we will win, but it will be difficult, especially the first half. But I think we'll get the goal and then we'll just carry on and get the 3 points.
Okay, just last word on the St Mirren game. I know we've started talking about selection, so we'll say Butland, Tavernier, Ridvan, Goldson, Balogun, and then what we go in midfield three, we go in Raskin, Cantwell, Lundstrom, and then Silva, Dessers, McCausland. Lewis is shaking his head. Do you want to change it? Do you want Sterling in?
I would put Sterling for Raskin.
Sterling for that. Do you think that's the only place that's up for grabs?
Probably. Aye.
Yeah. You guys in agreement?
I think it depends. And Raskin was taken off, wasn't he? So was Cantwell. So it depends.
He has said they're both fine.
Aye, they're both fine.
So I would probably put Sterling now because I think Raskin's still coming back. But I would leave Cantwell in tomorrow. I wouldn't start Tom Lawrence. I think. I just don't want him to break down again. I think if he breaks down again, they'll just say that's enough's enough. So I would start Cantwell, maybe bring Lawrence on, but yeah, Silver at left, McCausland at right, and Dessers through middle, but Lundstrom and Silver's one.
And Richie, you in agreement there? Is any change you would make that? Would you play Raskin or Sterling?
I'd like to see Sterling actually. Yeah. No, I think I'm largely in agreement, and it's not necessarily what I want to see. I've just got a little sneaky that we might see Scott Wright instead of McCausland from the start. Okay. It's not what I want. I've just got a little feeling that we might see that.
I don't think
actually Scott Wright and Matondo put that way.
No, it's a point well made, Kicks. I don't actually think Scott Wright's done too much wrong. I know
I think Clement actually quite likes Scott Wright.
I do. I think you're right, Lewis. I do. I think he sees him as a good part of the squad. He actually said in his presser today, he mentioned about there's no guarantees and how the subs have been really decisive in games as well. So I think it's a point well made, certainly. Okay, we'll leave that part of there for Rich. We're running out of time, and obviously we want to talk about Steve Davis. And I know, Lewis, you were absolutely heartbroken, weren't you? I could see you in the chat. You said what did you say? Tell the punters what you said.
Well, I obviously started watching Rangers properly in like the 2009, 2010 era, and that was obviously Stephen Davis' first stint at Rangers, and he's just the first in my generation of Rangers players that I really cared about that retired, and it didn't feel that long ago that he was still doing the business at Rangers, and he's obviously a bit of a living legend and just a fantastic football player, and it's always hard to see a Rolls Royce like that retire, and I just a sad day for me personally, but for Rangers in general, because what a footballer.
It was a great video the club put out, Kerr, in the training centre, and all the players sat down and he gets his shirt framed and the manager speaking. I thought it was a really nice touch.
It was, and you can see what everybody thinks of him, not just Villa, not just Rangers, every club he's been with in Northern Ireland as well, because he's had over 140 caps. And listen, the guy's a class act on and off the park. And when you see the first time, I thought he was phenomenal. But when he came back, I said, I'm going to get injured when he came back. And when he came back, I said to everybody, as soon as he comes back, he could play in his slippers, Stephen Davis. He was that good. He was that good. And it's sad to see him go, but listen, he'll always be welcome back at Rangers. I hope maybe one day he does come back. He says he's going to sit down with his family and maybe go through his coaching badges. So hopefully one day he comes back in some capacity. But no, class act to me, living legend, and it was good to see him get into the Hall of Fame, wasn't it, recently? So, but no, he's one of these players that I think it was somebody said that he's played in 2 European finals for Rangers. Not many players have done that, do you know, that way. So no, huge respect for him, and you don't realise how good until somebody like that does retire, and you look back and see what he's achieved in his whole career. I mean, it's phenomenal considering where he came from himself, and he said he'd never expected to do that, and he grew up a Rangers fan, and he finished the club with the team he supported is really good as well. So I wish him all the best for the future.
You could see how much it meant to him, Richie. You know, Kerr touches on there. I think he's the most capped player on the British Isles, if I'm right in saying that. Paul just said there he was Northern Ireland captain at 21. As Kerr said there, you know, not many players come back and are even better the second time around. And I think as well, I just want to pay testament to him, because a lot of respect for him for taking that into the manager's job. You know, that could have obviously it didn't pan out for him at all, by the way, and that awful night in Cyprus. However, you know, he had the cojones to step in, and I think he done that probably out more for his love of the club. He's like we sit here as Rangers supporters, absolutely oozing love for the club. I think Stevie Davis is one of us.
Absolutely, yeah. I haven't spoken to anybody that, you know, has not just in the last, you know, day or so, but, you know, over the last decade, I haven't spoken to anyone that's got a bad word to say about him, on or off the pitch. You know, he does a lot for the Rangers Foundation as well. You know, he's an absolute class act, and yeah, and he's done. I mean, if you think about what it's nice because we idolize these players because they're doing things that we would dream to do, but it's nice when you get one of them or a few of them and you know that it's really what they've dreamt of doing as well. It's that, to me, that's really special, and you take them into your heart in a different way. Absolute class act, and I wish him all the best. I hope he gets his some form of a testimonial. I know that it hasn't finished the way that, you know, he would have liked it to, but I hopefully that, you know, depending on how things pan out, hopefully we can get that sorted for him and pack Ibrox out. That would be absolutely fantastic. And maybe he'll come back in some kind of capacity. The door certainly seemed to be wide open for him to do that, because I think that not only did he bail us out for a couple of games there when we absolutely needed it, when, as you rightly say, it won't have been ideal for him to do that in the position he was in at that time, but also I'm sure he will have given Phil some you know, invaluable advice upon coming in the door on, you know, the various things. They'll have had that relationship in his first few, you know, days and weeks, and then he wants to concentrate on his rehab rather than carrying on with the coaching. So yeah, absolute class act. I'm not saying anything that anybody hasn't already said, but yeah, if you didn't tear up a little bit watching that stuff on the Rangers socials, you made a stone for sure.
Yeah, listen, couldn't have said it any better myself, mate. Brilliant. Okay, we'll leave it there for tonight. Just wanted to come on to, you know, another sort of moment. Caroline from the podcast it was a funeral today. Kerr, I know you were there. You just wanted to say a couple of words just to finish the pod on.
Yeah, I went to Caroline Osborne's funeral today out in Directcorn, and there was a few years there from the Rabble, but it was a lovely service. It was absolutely jam-packed. I didn't know what to expect, but you went there and it was jam-packed people. We sat in a room beside him, but we met our son Stephen, we met our son Connor, and our husband Stephen. They were so grateful for his attending, just showing their respect. And it just shows you people you've never really met, Robert. You've only maybe spoke to him through working on the podcast and your love for Rangers, and then something happens to them, it touches you, and going there and getting all the respect of their family, even though we didn't really know them personally, just shows you what it's like and what a football team like Rangers brings to people. So listen, she'll be a big miss for the pod, but she'll be a big miss for the family. And like I say, I just wish Stephen and Connor all the best.
Absolutely. Lovely words there, Kurt, as always. Okay, then, we are back tomorrow for some build-up and reaction from the game in Paisley. If you've joined us tonight, as always, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. It's been a quick hour, actually, and as Hugo Beer said, look at that, I love that. I love those ones that come in late. Great podcast, brilliant. Cheers, Hugo. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend. If I don't see you, we'll see you next week as well. All right, cheers. Thanks very much.